Welcome to Pessimistic at Best, the podcast. I am your host, Samantha Georgson, and this is our pilot episode. This is so exciting. I do really feel like it has been just so long that I have waited to say those words. It has really been a little journey getting this project off the ground, and I'm so thrilled to finally be bringing this to life. And if you do hear tumbling in the background, that is my two cats, who I did not have the pleasure of kicking out of the apartment this evening in order to record this, in the same way that I did to my significant other, James, who set me up with all of this recording equipment. So thank you, James. I love you. But yes, so here we are. We're recording episode 1. I'm very excited to dive into this. But before we do all of that, and I do think that this podcast warrants, a little bit of an explanation. But even before we get there, I would like to answer the question that I know you're all asking. And that is, what inspired me to start this podcast? Why am I doing this? How did we get here? So, to all of my raving fans, for starters, if we're going to be transparent and get a little loosey-goosey with it, I'm lonely, okay? I am. This is just such a strange time, and already, on top of being a 24-year-old, like post-college, first job, gearing up for my quarter-life crisis, and so many of my fantastic best friends have moved across the country. I'm struggling to figure out who I am as a person. On top of all of that, of course, we are also literally living through a fucking pandemic. So, shit could not be worse. It's just been such a weird year, a weird time in our lives. And yeah, I don't know, I'm lonely. And like I said, friends have moved across the country and really all across the globe. My circle here in Madison, Wisconsin is dwindling. I guess I need something to occupy my time, and especially because I am cooped up in the house more often than not with this quarantine business, and I need people to talk to. So if you are listening to this, I love you from the bottom of my heart. But yeah, that's where we're at. And, on top of that, this is something that I have actually been wanting to do for some time. I'm excited to start this. And this is not my first rodeo, I will say. I do co-host a podcast through work. That is a beauty industry podcast, and that was really my first introduction to the podcasting arena. But that being said, I also do consume podcasts. They're one of my favorite forms of media. They're how I get my news. I love, a good comedy podcast. I love women's rights podcasts, women's uplifting podcasts. I love foodie podcasts. I am a sucker for a good true crime podcast. So it's definitely one of my favorite forms of media to consume. And so I am very excited to be launching my own podcast. And this is just something that it's like a little passion project of mine. And I'm just very excited to finally be bringing this to life. I did get furloughed, during the beginning of all of this COVID business, sort of. And while I kind of slowly started working my hours back up, but during that time, when I did have so much free time on my hands, I was really leaning into my creative outlets, and that is where this idea originated. And I've floated it around before, but this is, I think, the first time that I got kind of serious about it. I played with it around in my head, and this is the kind of person I am. I keep things very personal and inside until I feel confident and comfortable sharing them with someone else. So I finally broached the idea to James and to my parents, and they were both so supportive. And, I think I'm still living off of that energy right now. Here we are recording episode 1. And I'm so grateful for that because, it did push me to do something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone and something that I think I am going to have a lot of fun with. I'm on wine glass number 2. If you cannot tell by my slight speech impediment developing, but it's going to be good, and I'm excited. So let's backtrack a little bit, because here I am blabbering away, and all of you listening don't even know what you are getting yourselves into. So yeah, let's backtrack and dive into what this podcast is all about, because I did title it Pessimistic at Best for a reason. And I'll give you a little introduction to myself as well, because I am a certified complainer. And, for those of you that know me well, this is no surprise, but for those of you who know me at like an arm's length, this might kind of come as a surprise to you, because as much of a complainer as I am, I'm also very good at keeping it under wraps. I wait until I know you really well and you love me and can't give me up or push me out of your life. And that's when I start bitching about things to you, because I know you can't leave. So, and that has worked very well for me, because then we get to this point in our relationship where I can really open up and just be like a total bitch about stuff. And everyone's like, okay, like we get it. But, we love you. So I guess... we'll put up with this. But yeah, and that has worked out for me just fine. So, but I am a certified complainer, like for real. Ask my loved ones. And I don't know, I just love to complain. I find it therapeutic. I think it's funny. And really, truly, I think it is all around the best way to deal with and or cope with something that you're struggling with, which, contrary to popular belief, but that is... in my 24 years of experience, it has worked out okay. But seriously, like I find positive attitudes to be super, super annoying. They're not my thing. And I think that overly positive people, like, I don't know, if you're one of those, let's just take a pause, because maybe you should stop listening. No, but like for real, like you get on my nerves, but like I love you. There is something to that. I get it. I get the positive energy. I get the attitude. And in some ways I am envious of it, but I am equal parts annoyed by it. I don't know. Like I guess it's one of those things where, because I find a little bit of comedic relief in complaining, I think it's funny. And if I have had a hard day, or even if I've just like gone through a little something, big or small, like maybe I can't find a fucking parking spot at the grocery store, or maybe I'm dealing with something a little bit more serious, like, I don't know, I'm struggling with family issues, whatever it is. If I come to you and want to complain about something and be like, hey, like, oh my God, my day just sucked because of XYZ, the last thing I want to hear is something along the lines of, oh, it could be worse. Or something like, oh, but look on the bright side, here's something positive to think about. No, nobody wants that. That is so beyond annoying. It's not even funny. And I've had people in my life who do that. And then, like, whether it be friends, ex-boyfriends, whatever it is, who have sort of met me with that kind of energy. And that is so a slap in the face to me that it doesn't work. We're almost incompatible. Like, is that dramatic? Because it is. We're incompatible in that I'm coming to you with something, and being a little bit vulnerable with you, and then you are essentially discrediting everything that I just said. Like, really, it does. It feels like almost like an invalidation of my feelings. And that, oh my God, like, it hurts a little bit. So... but like also it's just like not what I'm coming to you for, like all I want when I come to you with a complaint is for you to say, you're right, that sucks. Like literally, that's all I want. Is that really so much to ask? I don't think so. But some people are probably sitting there like, girl, that does not suck. Like things could be so much worse. But in the moment, like, I know that, okay? Like, I know things could be worse. Because at the end of the day, like, my life is not all that terrible. I'm aware of this. But it's more like I just need to get this out and then move on. That's how I move on. And it's something that then we can both laugh about. It can be silly. Like, it can. That's why I'm bringing it up. So, anyways... am I getting carried away? Probably. But seriously, you guys, like I don't have like an official slogan because what am I, a superhero? But if I had $1 for every time I said the words, "It's hard to be me." Like, I would be so totally rich and famous, I wouldn't even have anything to complain about. That is how often I say those words. And that's it. Like, that's the motto. Ask my loved ones, my friends. We all say it. And that's the thing. I will say, I think I do attract other complainers. I collect them like little prized possessions. But that's the motto amongst my friend group. And especially with me, I live by that statement. It is fucking hard to be me, okay? And that doesn't mean it's not hard to be somebody else, but it does mean it's hard to be me. And so here we are, hence the name of my podcast, because I am self-diagnosed as pessimistic at best and downright bitchy at my worst. And at this point in the episode, some of you might be asking, how far has this literal attitude problem gotten you? And, well, honestly, like, who is really to say? Because here I am recording my first podcast episode and broadcasting my bad attitude to the world. So I suppose only time will tell. No, I'm mostly kidding, but, like, I will say it is actually something that I want to work on. Convinced? Are you convinced? But seriously, like, for the last several years, it has actually been my New Year's resolution. Every time January 1st comes around, I say to myself, like, okay, this is it. This is the year that you are going to be more positive, or at least, like, internalize. You're going to internalize those complaints and keep it to yourself a little bit. Like, let's try it. But, have I ever succeeded? No. But I want to become one of those yes girls. I want to become one of those girls that says yes to things. Like, those people, everyone says there's like a word of the year. This is ironic because I literally think that I recently tweeted that my word of the year for 2020 is no. And honestly, like, to me, that is still so valid because it is the word of the year for all of us. Like, this year is a big fat no, okay? Take it back, return it. We don't want it. No. But no, like, I really do want to become one of those yes girls. That's a goal of mine. And yeah, like, at the end of the day, sure, I could probably use an attitude adjustment or, like, a mindset adjustment, if you will. And if we're going to get a little bit sappy with it, I do actually, like, I go into situations expecting the worst. Okay, we're getting a little vulnerable here, a little bit introspective, but I do. Like, I go into a new situation expecting the worst, and then no matter the outcome, I complain about it. Like, whatever it is, I will find something to complain about. And I think that is, maybe like a little bit of a defense mechanism, or like, maybe some people would call that fear or, denial. But of course, maybe that's a topic for another episode. But actually, like, it does sometimes keep me from getting things done, from doing things that I want to do, that I set out to do. So, for example, starting a podcast. Like, I literally don't know how many times in my head I was like, okay, girl, you are not cool enough to start a podcast. And you know what? Am I? Well, I suppose that is something that you guys will have to decide. But I'm doing it. I'm here and I'm doing it anyways. And, like, there was just so much talk in my head of, like, okay, should you be doing this? I don't think so. Or, like, are you ready to do this? Or even thoughts like, maybe down the line, this could be something that you do, but, like, not now. Okay. And just, like, little thoughts like that eat away at you they will keep you from doing things and and just, like, acting on those wishes. So instead of, like, loading up on self-doubt and not doing something that you set your heart on, like, I want to challenge that for myself and for you, for all of my wonderful, sweet, and valuable listeners. And that's the thing, right? Like, I know that I'm not the only one that does this. And I know that because, like I said, I collect complainers in my life. I love people that also love to complain. I think it's because we both validate each other's feelings. And at the end of the day, I will say those are the funniest fucking people. And And I love funny people. Like, those people are so funny. Their dry sense of humor is it, okay? That is everything that I'm looking for. And those are the kind of people that I collect in my life. Not to say that I have no one positive, because we are positive sometimes. But I will turn to specific people when I have something to complain about, because I know who will say what I want to hear. Sometimes I probably do need the positive person to be like, hey, everything's going to be fine. Like, here's 10 awesome fucking things about you. Like, let's spin the narrative here for a second and just think about the good things. And so, not to get sappy on you, but I know that I'm not the only one, and that is really why I want to invite people on this little introspective journey with me, where we look at our lives and we look at all the times where we have let negativity hold us back. And of course, all the times that we have then overcome maybe that pessimistic attitude and done something amazing. Because here I am recording episode 1 of my motherfucking podcast. And I'm excited. And that is something I overcame. And we're doing it, okay? Because it's 2020 and we just have to fucking do things because the world is crumbling. So we might as well. See, and there it is. There's the negativity creeping out. And that is okay at the end of the day. You know, will there be some complaining done along the way on this podcast? Obviously. Every episode needs some comedic relief. But I promise to always include something inspiring, or, you know, at least I promise to do my very best. And I'm really looking forward to this. You know, my intentions with this podcast are to invite so many people on to just really talk about every single topic under the sun. I want to talk about everything. I want to talk about all of the random things I complain about, all of the random things you complain about. And I want to find the positives and the negatives, because there are always both. There are two sides to every coin. And I think that's going to be so fun. I think there's going to be a lot of fun dialogue. It's going to be a silly goose time. And there are so many things to discuss. I mean, we could talk about everything from relationships, from, you know, work, and from drama, TV shows. I mean, you know, like trivial complaints, acne, whatever it is. There is so much going on right now in the world that this is going to be a little outlet for me, but also I'm hoping for you to just kind of, you know, relax a little bit, have your feelings validated. Of course, this is going to be a glorified bitch session, but it's also going to be, we're going to work through that stuff and we're going to find the positives, and I'm really looking forward to it. So before I wind this episode up, I do want to share what you can look forward to for next week, because I will be sharing my top 5 things that I complain about in next week's episode. And these are sourced. I did ask for some feedback here. So my betrothed, James, came up with these, and I honestly think he could have kept going. So before I even broached the idea of starting this podcast, I asked him what the top 5 things that I complain about are. And oh my God, you guys, I literally think that he could have gone on for days. Like, you know, easily he could have given me 10, 20 things that I complain about. But we did cap it for the sake of time. And I'm excited. He definitely hit the nose on the head. And the things that I'm complaining about right now are very timely. So I think many of them will be relatable for you. So that's something to look forward to. We're going to dive into that next week. And until then, wash your face, girl. Let it all out. Call your therapist. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in. And I will chat with you next week.